Before we did move in, he failed to kind of tell us that there was a gentleman next door who was a extreme drug addict.
He would howl at the moon. He would stand on his pedestal on his front yard and he would literally howl at the moon.
Ryan's telling me that I'm responsible for him breaking my car. So at that point in time, I'm like,
your car.
I really wanted to put hands on him. You know,
He's continually threatened me.
But I'm not gonna break my car and then tell me it's my fault.
Plaintiffs Mary-Kate Murphy and Alexis Bandera claim their former landlord illegally kept their security and pet deposits. They're suing for $1,675. Defendant Thomas Hosey says the plaintiffs were drunken and disruptive tenants whose pets severely scratched his hardwood floors. He says he owes nothing.
And nothing but the truth?
Yes.
I do.
Thank you. The Honorable Judge Jerry Springer now presiding. Good morning, Your Honor.
Hey, Najee, how are you?
I'm doing well, Judge.
Good.
Thank you. This is case number 141 on the docket. Murphy and Bandera versus Hosey.
Okay, let's see how we do this. We have the plaintiffs, Mary-Kate Murphy, that's you, Mary-Kate, and Alexis Bandera, and you are suing your former landlord, Thomas Hosey.
Correct.
They're suing you for $1,675 for the return of security and pet deposits. So, Mary-Kate and Alexis, why don't you start?
So back in April of 2018, Alexis and I were looking to move in together. We're best friends. We're both in the same industry. We're photographers, and we really wanted to make a house a home. And so we found the defendant's property. We fell in love with the photos. We decided to go take a look. Really fell in love with the old charm of the house. It was a 100-year-old house, big and open, and the street was quiet. However, there were a few red flags upon meeting the defendant. He had a big amount of furniture in the apartment, a couch, a bookshelf, chairs, and that stayed in the apartment a week into us moving in. So I contacted several times to try and move the furniture, and he wasn't taking the initiative. So I said, hey, like, I'll help you, because it impeded us moving into the apartment fully. Thirdly, there was a hazard in the basement. There was like concrete that had been dug up. I had asked when we looked at the apartment, hey, is this going to be removed, because this is like a safety hazard. We have to go downstairs and do our laundry. And he had agreed that it would be, and throughout our entire year of living together, nothing was done about it. Also, the apartment was claimed to have been professionally cleaned, and I truly don't think that's the case.
We were excited, I think. We didn't have an issue cleaning it.
Yeah.
So we did, and we didn't complain to him. We didn't want to, give him a hard time.
Before we did move in, he failed to kind of tell us that there was a gentleman next door who was a extreme drug addict, a disturbance to the peace. He broke into Alexis' car one time, and I just felt it really odd. Like he would
howl at the moon, Your Honor.
He
would stand on his pedestal on his front yard, and he would literally howl at the moon as I'm getting out of my car trying to get into my apartment.
Yeah.
We'd have to call each other and say, hey, can you just come get me? I gotta get inside. And I'm sorry, that's just something he completely failed to tell us. He knew that person was living there, and for the entire year that we lived there, this guy made us feel extremely unsafe every night.
And you leased it for a year?
Yes.
Okay, so you were there a year.
Yes.
And the security deposit was for how much?
It was $1,275.
Yeah.
And then I paid a $400 pet deposit for my 2 cats.
What's your side of the story?
So I met the tenant, or the potential tenants. They responded to an ad, as I stated.
Yeah.
We looked at the apartment. I showed it to them. I explained again, it's an old home, but as you can see, there's a photo that's been submitted. It's a beautiful old home. I take pride in my property. The outside's landscaped. Things are taken care of. So they decided to move in. They liked the place. They talked about it.
Now, what problems did you have with them?
So, the lease agreement basically stated there was several things about, quiet enjoyment. There was things about no modifications to the property, no painting, no landscape modifications, things like that. At one point, they did mention that they wanted to paint the dining room. They asked about it. I said, that's fine. However, it needs to be returned to what it was before you leave whenever that date comes, and they agreed to that.
Okay.
They seemed sweet as pie. Everything was great. So, we signed the lease, they moved in, and things were good. And then we started having some issues with Alexis' sister moved in as a third roommate. And there started to be drunk people coming in and out at all hours of the night, and puking off of the porch, and yelling
this was one
and
night,
screaming.
Your Honor. This happened one night, and not to mention, this was my sister's 21st birthday.
Yeah.
I don't expect her to have a small tea party, sorry.
No, but you did say that you would have quiet, respectful things.
All right. For 21st birthday,
Or
you do get
disturbances.
one puking party.
Yes,
That's true.
Haven't you? That's
It happens.
But if you are renting out to 20-somethings, these things are going to happen. I'm not saying
Correct.
no one thinks it's wonderful.
But she also wasn't part of the lease originally. These women were in their late 20s,
Okay,
early
but-
30s. So,
You agreed to it as well.
but also said, I was looking for respectful and quiet tenants, which you guys said,
Okay,
oh, we
it's-
are, we don't
If
party.
you go to Exhibit H, those are the original paint colors that we left the house as. And he didn't even paint them. And all he can send us is a lousy $53 each back. It's just, it's ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Exhibit
So
D
if you look
shows
in at
you-
Exhibit E, you'll see the floors that were terribly scratched up by their animals.
That's
Like-
impossible for a cat to do. I don't know what that is, but the floors
Apparently
were
she's a
in.
veterinarian, I'm not sure, but
Also, I mean, this is not beyond normal wear and tear. A landlord
sorry,
is
if someone
responsible for
scratched
that.
your floors like that,
So,
that's beyond normal
Tom,
wear and
like-
tear. And then if you look at Exhibit E3, you'll see where they got paint all over the ceilings.
Your Honor,
from
that's
when
his
they
paint.
painted.
It doesn't even match.
So-
He claims we had sloppy technique, and I beg to differ. I'm pretty positive that that's his sloppy technique.
All right. So they sued for $1675.
What about all the paint that was on the ceiling?
You know what?
What about how you didn't paint it?
Okay.
Because we
Never
have
I
painted
photos
did
of
paint
your
it. I
Airbnb.
purchased the paint later,
I'll tell
and
you
I painted
what,
it at a later date.
I'd
We
be
have
very.
photos of
I
it.
I'd be-
understand
Hang
that,
on.
He
but I
matched
haven't-
the furniture
The
to
judge
the
is
walls.
speaking, ma'am. The judge is
Okay.
speaking, ma'am.
I didn't see the scratches being made, so I don't know who's responsible for that. So I find for the plaintiff.
It is what it is at this point. So, and I've learned my lesson not to deal with people that just can't take care of property.
He lied about painting. He lied about redoing the floors, and he's lazy. And I guess only he knows that. And so we're happy to have this over with and move on from it.
Plaintiff Joshua Marks claims he was trying to help a coworker with a car problem, but wound up being driven crazy with complaints. He's suing for $3,600 for car damage and towing fees. Defendant Ryan Messenger denies damaging the plaintiff's car and is countersuing for $720 for rental costs and missing property.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Najee.
This is case 054 on the docket, Marks versus Messenger.
Thank you, and
You're welcome.
welcome to both of you. We have the plaintiff here, Joshua Marks. You are suing your former coworker, Ryan Messenger, for $3,600 for car damage and towing fees. The defendant, Ryan, you are countersuing for $720 for rental payments and personal property. Let's start with you, Joshua. What is your case?
Good morning, Judge. I'm a professional boxer from Southern California. Got a professional record of 15 wins, 5 losses, and 14 knockouts. The way I met Ryan was I was hired at a hotel. I noticed Ryan was standing out. You know, he didn't have a ride, you know, so I offered him a ride. And I asked him, you know, hey, why you don't have a car? You know, he said, well, my girlfriend has the car. You know, we only have one car, and she goes to school. She's going to need it. And I had another car at the house, my old car, the car I used to drive to work in, you know, so I was just like, well, I'll let him use my car, you know. And he said, you know, it would make his life a lot easier. So we made an agreement that he pays me $200 a month, but the other agreement was that he would fix anything that happens to the car while it was in his possession, you know, whether it be something, oil change, like that was his cost. So he agreed, and I gave him the car, and he used the car, you know, I want to say 3 months total, maybe 4 months. Within that time, I think the first problem he had was he caught a flat tire, you know, and he called me, and he asked me if I had a warranty on the tires, you know, and I just told him, you know that's something you need to cover because you flattened the tire, you know, I'm not going to use my warranty on something you need to fix, you know. The second problem we had with the car was Ryan called me and he said the car wouldn't start. And I'm just like, I'm 2 hours away, man. Just start the car. There's nothing wrong with it, you know? And he was just begging me to come help him. So
What was wrong with the car?
I got in the car, and as soon as I started the car, tried to start it up, it started up, you know? So at that point, I was heated. So I got in his face, and I was like, look, bro, I'm going to take my car back because you're giving me too many problems with me letting you use my car. I gave you the car so that you didn't have any problems, and you're causing me more
So you
problems.
mean all you did is you turned the ignition and the car started?
As soon as I started it up, it started up. So I was thinking maybe he was
Ryan,
smoking or...
all you got to do is turn the key to the right.
It's a 20-year-old car, and the ignition doesn't start. So literally every time you get in the car, you would have to just what he would always tell me is just keep turning the ignition. It'll turn on eventually. So it's not like it was just a. But yes, that's how it went. When he got there, he sat down in the car and first turned it on, which was kind of frustrating for me as well.
So now the car starts. So what else?
So
you're not suing him for that.
So at that point, I was just mad. I just want to get my car back from him. So I left it at that. I gave him the keys. I was like, all right, man, you know, maybe a month or two later, he calls me and he says that the belt broke on the car. Like, it made me feel like he knew exactly what was wrong with it, meaning like he was into the car, like maybe, you know, working on it to see what was wrong with it, you know? So he sent me a picture of the car jacked up, and looked like he was under the car working on it, you know? So he was like, yeah, I was trying to fix it, you know, but I can't fix it, so I'm gonna need you to tow it, you know? So I ended up having to tow the car from his house to the mechanic shop, and he checked the car and he told me it was a lot more than just the belt that was wrong with it. I guess that he said when Ryan broke the serpentine belt, it ended up making the car overheat, and he drove it with the belt broken, which broke the radiator. And I guess
that's a lie,
Ryan
Your
tried
Honor.
to fix the car. He tried to fix it before he got it back to me, and that's what made broke the alternator. I guess he tried to pull the belt out of the alternator.
Okay. Ryan, you tried to fix the car, but in trying to fix it, he's saying, well, the mechanic is saying that it got worse, more damage.
All of that's absolutely not true. I was less than 5 minutes away from my house when the serpentine belt snapped on the car. It's a pretty easy thing to diagnose. It's the belt that drives.
Did you fix it?
I was unable to fix it when I got back to my house.
Judge Jerry, before Ryan was using this car, this is the car that I drove myself to work and back home every day before I let Ryan use it. So I never ran into any of these problems before I let Ryan use it. I drove this car back and forth to work every day before I let him use it. Because I bought a new car, and then I allowed Ryan to use this car. The agreement was Ryan needed a car to go to and from work. Ryan used this car to go to work, home, grocery shopping.
That was not the agreement.
He went
It
on
was
road
much simpler
trips.
than that,
He went to
Judge.
Calexico and back.
Okay, Ryan, what do you have to say about this?
So when I first started renting the car, he assured me over and over again, this car's not going to give you any problems. I just put $1,800 into the engine. It's good. You're good to go. No problems. And it was just problem after problem. First,
Judge Jerry, this is what Ryan told. Ryan told me he needed a car to get to and from work. Instead of Ryan using that car for that, Ryan used this car to go to road trip after road trip, to and from work.
Ryan, are you telling the court, is that true? Are you telling the court that you only used the car to go to and from work?
no,
You're
but that
under
wasn't
oath.
that wasn't the agreement, Your Honor. I was
Okay.
paying to rent the car. He said, you do your own thing. So I took it on one road trip. We drove from San Diego to Calexico. It's like
How far is that?
Less than 200 miles. It's like
More than 200 miles. Got you there and back just fine, right?
on the way to Calexico, the window stopped
All
going
right.
down.
Judge
And-
Jerry, so this is where the lawsuit comes in place. We're at work and I'm showing Ryan the bill. I'm like, listen, bro, you said that you agreed to pay for whatever you broke, so this is what it cost
That's
you
a
to
lie.
pay
I
me.
didn't agree to that.
When we're at work, I'm like, Ryan's telling me that I'm responsible for him breaking my car. So at that point in
I
time,
didn't
I'm like,
break your car.
My only thought is to whoop his ass. Like, that's my only thought. Like, look, you're not gonna sneak me like this, break my car and tell me I gotta fix it. So I really wanted to put hands on him. You know, I didn't do it at the time because a lot of people
No,
was
you
around.
can't. You're a boxer.
Yeah,
You're a
but
boxer, as I
Judge,
understand it, and
at that time-
your fists are licensed weapons.
Yeah,
so
Yeah,
right,
he's,
but-
he's
but-
continually threatened me.
But
with
at
them
that
the whole
time, I
during
had
this.
red lights, and I'm just like, look, you're not gonna break my car and tell me it's my fault. On top of that, I got text messages of Ryan admitting that the car did break while it was in his possession. It wasn't broken before. but it was broken while it was in his
Okay,
possession.
so here's the deal. Ryan, you're countersuing for $720,
Yes,
and
Your
that
Honor.
is because
Judge-
why? Why? I want to hear the countersuit. What is your countersuit?
The $200 per month for the 3 months I've
So
paid.
you paid him $600 in that,
And then
but yeah.
an iPod was left in the vehicle and a garage door opener. I repeatedly reached out to Josh, messaged him, trying to get my
Okay,
personal
first of all,
property.
so before I settle that, Joshua, are you willing to give those 2 items back?
Yes, I'm willing to give that back to him. But
Okay, so now-
I would like to show you something here. This text message is from Ryan, where he states that the car broke while it was in his possession.
First of all, because there was no written agreement on this, it is very hard for me to decipher exactly what the agreement was about who should be responsible for what goes wrong with the car and when it goes wrong. What I see is if the breakdown was caused by what Ryan was doing with the driving, like driving it more than it should have been driven, if there were some things that you were trying to fix on the car that didn't work and you made the matters worse, that would be your responsibility, Ryan. Some of these problems are the responsibility of you, Joshua, the owner of the car. Some of them. On your countersuit, Ryan, you agreed to rent the car for $200 a month. So for the months you had that car, Joshua is entitled to those $200. You paid him $600 ahead of time. Did you have it for the 3rd month?
I didn't even make it the whole 2nd month, Judge.
Okay, so that was your
February-
bad luck. You were driving the car in all of January, parts of February. You owe those $400. I'm not going to put all the damages on Ryan because it's certainly not clear to me that it was his fault for all of that stuff going wrong in a 19-year-old car. So my judgment is for the plaintiff, $1,000.
I felt like Ryan should be responsible for damages that he caused on my car.
I definitely learned that in life you need to write things down on paper, get a contract, make sure you've got all your bases covered.
Hey, Judge Jerry, if you need me, just let me know, man. I got you.
Hey, YouTube, thanks for watching. For more Judge Jerry, click here. For more Jerry Springer, click here.